this is kind of my first, there's two parts to this presentation. It's going to be quick, but it's going to help kind of map out my thinking of all the things that I just said. And the first is to really understand, to really think about the future and where we're going. It only makes sense in the context of where we've come from. So the future of work only makes sense in the context of the past. And I think in this case, because this is a paradigm shift, we have to go all the way back, all the way back. So to start by saying that work as a system has three main components: the worker, the work, and the workplace. The components have relationships, and they come together to perform a function to create value. That system of work is influenced by four main stakeholders. We have government that sets regulation and laws. We have the labor pool that works. We have the companies that hire, and academia that trains. So anywhere in the world, in any geography, this system of work holds. Way back when we were hunter-gatherers, we were a system of one. We were nomadic. Work, the workplace, and the worker was one. It was in me. My asset was my instinct to survive. I was nomadic. I hunted and gathered for what I need. Work was very simple. When we became agriculturists and figured out how to tame animals and cultivate crops, this is the first semblance we had of the system of work, where the worker had to go to the workplace to get the work done. Now we have the system that still guides what we do today. We simply became organized. In the first industrial revolution, we replaced some of the things we were doing manually with some really early primitive mechanics. And what did it do? Nothing really changed in the system except for the relationship between the worker and the work. It became more friction-filled because the worker became a little less valuable. In the second industrial revolution, we mechanized everything. And the workplace where we held those machinery in the production economy, that was the asset. That was the most valuable thing that a company had. The worker was a cog in the wheel. The work being done had become simplified, broken down into tasks. It was the workplace that had all the value, and everything happened around that. When we lived in a world of mass production, which we did for decades, and we're only just kind of coming out of. So in the third industrial revolution, technology, we started automating things. And what happened? The relationship moved towards the worker, the knowledge worker, the emergence of knowledge work. We became the asset of a company, way more valuable. We still have the same components, but you can see how over time the relationship between all of them has changed. So where are we going? And I think that's a lot of what this group is doing. You're figuring out what is that next step? What comes next for us? When I think about workplace, I think about once work went to the cloud, it became location independent. The value of the built environment completely changed. We no longer had to go there for the work to get done. And this is what our workplace looks like right now. The worker has the most value. The knowledge worker, that is the company's asset. And we have a virtual workplace. We're sometimes tied to a physical workplace. But this is really what our world of work looks like right now. The problem is we're managing it like the lower part. And when the workplace is vilified, you're throwing shackles on me and you're forcing me to come back to these four walls and these cubes or these open layouts, you're forcing me back here. It doesn't feel natural because our world looks like this now in the top left. That's what it looks like. So the real friction, I think, is coming around by the fact that the link between the worker and work. This is where we are right now, and this is what we're trying to all figure out. The major thing that's happened is I think people over the course of the pandemic have woken up to realize that work is not who I am. It is something that I do. And they're realizing that they have a relationship with work rather than being defined by it. And there's something very enlightening happening on this global mass scale that people can be much more aware of who it is that they are. So I think our work is becoming more human simply because we are changing our perspective on who we are and how we fit in to that world of work. And we're realizing we have a voice and we're making decisions about that are impacting companies' outcomes. So this is the second part of what I wanted to say. And, we're not human doers, we're human beings. We're about being. And I think that we are just on mass and on scale at this such an interesting point that we're really trying to understand who are we becoming. Work is really, really important. It's beyond a paycheck. It allows people a point of self-discovery. What am I good at? Who am I? What are the relationships I have with other people? Who are we becoming? For a long time, we had an external world, an external view of life, where everything was linear. Education was linear. It was an acquisition of degrees and badges and things. But I think what we're coming to a point is we're understanding that intelligence in the future of work is not about this linear acquisition of academics. It's about the density of your awareness to your potential. So when we think about the Gen Z's attitude towards work, or the feeling I had from the group when I came in here, that's all I felt, is we're trying to find something. We're trying to find more of us in each other and in ourselves. Because potential for me is the difference between what you were born to do and what you are doing. And no one is excluded from this. I'm not. We all have this. There's a lot more below the waterline than I think we give ourselves credit for. And I think that all these questions are about us becoming aware that there's something out there more for us to look for. So I created this little model that helps me understand human intelligence in the future of work and what I think we're looking for. And I think, and I go back to earlier, I think it's a mindset shift. I think this is all a mindset shift. So for us, HQ is human intelligence reimagined, and there's 4 quadrants that we think we get there because we believe the person is divided into 4. And if we can balance these out from the internal perspective, who am I in relation to the external world, the workplace and the work being done, we're going to find a degree of balance that we're all searching for. I think physical intelligence is this awareness we have that our body is it's a dashboard of intelligence. When we're stressed, we don't feel what we feel, ache in our back, pain in our knee. Our body is always telling us something. We're stopping to listen to this now. I'm like, my body is a dash. We know this is true because there's lots of companies. There's a company called Whoop that's a unicorn status right now. It's a wristband that measures the signals that your body tells you to give you information. So our physical body, the inside of how we feel, is the center of data intelligence. I think the second part is emotional intelligence, and we speak widely about this, and it's very well written about. But we only ever make a decision in work, in life, because we want to feel a certain way. I want to feel accomplished. I want to feel less hungry. We make decisions we want to feel a certain way. And being aware of that and how to think about your emotions, there's a root intelligence in there that impacts how we make decisions. I think the third part is what we call SQ, spiritual intelligence. And this has nothing to do with religion or truly spirituality, but it's about the human design. I think one of the greatest assets we have is our internal beacon of intuition and instinct. So when we know, do we need to have strict goals, live in a box? What if we step out of there? Can I trust myself to know what I think about something and own it? And I think the last one is IQ, intellectual intelligence, not the acquisition of external degrees and badges, my own sense of curiosity, my own original thought and ideation. Because I think that if we can figure this out, which I feel like is where we're going, we're going to understand what this link is here. The independent nature to work, of which workplace is a part. It's a huge part of it. I'm not a remote first person. I think workplace matters so much, but I think it matters in context of how workers are trying to redefine their link to what work means to them. It runs much deeper.